Welcome, everybody. This is my first interview. I'd like to introduce to you OJ from OJ's Coin. OJ, thanks for giving us your time. We really appreciate it.
Glad to finally, be able to sit down and answer some questions for you. So,
For sure. Are you from Florida originally?
Lived here off and on as a kid quite a bit. Born and raised originally in Dallas, Texas. My stepfather is a very prominent person in the numismatic industry. Worked for some of the top companies out there and recruited me over a couple-year period to the point where I finally gave in and came to work for him, and the rest is history. I will tell you my real kind of famous story, if I should ever write a book one day, but my first coin I ever made big money on, made $2,000 on one coin.
Really?
I was sitting with a dealer. I was new to the industry, so I was just simply showing him our coins, for mine and my dad's company that I was working for at the time. Showing him coins, and I asked him if I could look through a little bargain box that he had. I run across a 1914 D Lincoln cent, bright red, beautiful, very high grade. He has it marked AU, and two different times in our conversation while he's looking at my coins, I pull it to the side. I tell him, hey, I think your guys have this marked wrong and in the wrong box or whatnot, and he throws it back to me. He's got it marked 975, and he throws it back in front of me two different times, giving it a half-second flip, and says, no, 900 is the bottom. So I look at it and go, I think this is much better than an AU. I think it's in mint state at least, 63 minimum. I sold it 2 days later at the same show for 65 money, for 2,900. At that point, I decided that I was going to be in this industry in one way or another the rest of my life.
Yeah. So that's how you got into the business. How long have you been in this location?
This location, coming up on 13 years next month. November 15th will be 13 years since we opened to the public here. I started collecting coins when I was 8 years old in Texas, and started out, with just the basic stuff. Had a local coin shop in our area. It was just close enough to where I could ride my bike to it. I was allowed to ride my bike, and so that guy hated me after a very short time because I would hang out in there a lot. The local ladies at the bank up the street the other direction, I could ride my bike there because you could see all the way to it down my road, and so they hated me. I would go and do my wheat penny hunts until they would come and lock the doors on me and kick me out.
That's funny.
But of all the years of penny roll hunting, I only found one decent coin. It was a 1910 Lincoln cent in very high grade. Other than that, I've only found a few little pieces of 90% silver, a couple dimes, and a couple quarters over all the years.
Do you stack? Are you a stacker? Or?
Oh yeah.
So you're a collector stacker, or you numismatics?
Started
mostly,
off primarily just numismatics. After being in the industry a few years, and especially seeing the big bull run from 2008 to 2011, I started really getting serious about stacking some silver and some gold. I would say I probably lean much more towards silver. I feel like silver has a lot of running room to get to its all-time high, around $50, being at the moment 33 and some change, mid 33s at the moment, but silver seems to have a lot more running room to the upside than gold does. Gold continues to set new records, and I think being now the end of October 2024, we're probably going into some tumultuous times, and probably going to see gold raise up a little bit further from here, even quite a bit more. There's a lot of people speculating 3,000, 3,500. I don't see that as a far cry at all from where we're sitting now. Probably going to hit that, in my opinion, within the next couple of years, but buying and selling on a small scale every day, back and forth, no problem.
Just dollar cost averaging?
Dollar cost averaging for the most part. That's probably my biggest recommendation to anybody, but I think it's a good idea to have a little bit of gold, but I really do think that silver has much more upside, much more needed and useful in today's economy. There's so many heavy commercial and industrial users out there of silver. You're seeing it in more medical and technology than ever. A lot of these large manufacturers for like phones and computers and all kinds of weird, widgets and electronics are using silver now instead of gold. They can cut their cost basis using silver, and we all know nowadays that a phone or a little pocket calculator is going to maybe last you, 5 or 8 years, and nobody cares after that. It doesn't have to last 30 or 50 years or something like that. So I think a lot of these companies are much more eager these days to use silver. We're starting to see silver in solar technology, medical, things that we've never heard of before. I mean, there's not much, photo processing happening anymore, but so many more things taken over for that.
Right, that was a big loss for the industry when
right.
film went away.
a lot of sagging in the silver demand because they didn't need it for the processing anymore. And it's just, silver is not at the price point where it's recoverable like gold is. You know, you see these guys pumping sand out of the ocean floor to recover the gold from it in microscopic amounts. Silver, you just couldn't afford that, you know, with the price point. So a lot less of it comes back, and a lot more of it gets lost into the slough of industry and commerce and whatnot.
Do you agree with the expression "silver is poor man's gold"?
Absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. There's a kind of a joking statement in this industry. We say gold is the currency of kings, and silver is the currency of the nobles. Cash is the currency of the commoners, and debt is the currency of slaves.
What do you think holds silver back in today's market? What do you think is holding it back?
Ooh, well, I might be putting a big target on my back for answering that, but I think silver is being held down, manipulated. I would bet on it. I mean, I think it's
It's been proven, hasn't it?
100%
JP Morgan?
certainty. Well, JP Morgan, AIG, a few others got in some trouble for that, but very minor penalties and slap on the wrist kind of things and moving right along. I don't think they're going to let it go mainstream and out their whole program. But if you look most recently here, gas, food, almost every commodity in the world today is skyrocketing. We've seen commodities such as gas and food rising for a year and a half, almost 2 years now, coming out of COVID. Gold's starting to finally really pick up the pace. Silver just now in the last few weeks starting to get some action. Silver also is kind of a victim of a pattern lately in the last, well, probably 3 to 6 months anyway, if not a little bit longer. Most people on the street that are needing cash in small amounts are selling silver, not gold. They're kind of saving the best for last, or the cream rises mentality. Do the save your numismatic coins for the longer term is what I always preach to my customers anyway. If you're buying a numismatic coin or true collector piece, you probably want to be prepared to wait 8 to 10 years before you're going to see a very big increase or a profit margin for you.
Right.
Whereas bullion works in cycles, runs on a up and down wave cycle back and forth, and you'll see up for several years, down, back and forth, depending on the economy and what's going on in the world. But I think it's a rideable wave, and if you time it just right, you can bring your cost average very low, build a very big stack over a long period of time.
Mm-hmm. So we've basically been running now for since the beginning of March. What do you think? What's the prognosis? Where do you think it's going? I know it's hard to pin you down. But
You're going to hear predictions all over the place. Personal opinion only. I am not a financial advisor. I say this all day long in my shop. I feel like, but strictly personal opinion. I think with all the crazy going on in the world today, we probably see a new record past 50. I think within the next 6 months to 2 years. My target price that I'm kind of waiting to see with bated breath here is I think we see a $65 to $85 silver before too long here, probably 2 years or less, and that's probably going to be attached to a $32 to $3,500 gold. If you do the percentage, when gold hit its last high in the last run from 2008 to 2011, when gold hit a little over 1900, I think 1930 and maybe some change was the highest I saw in intraday trading. At the same time, silver was trading just a few cents shy of $50. That would put silver in the 100 and something range today versus the gold price now. Whereas very, very much underperforming, gold on the long haul compared to what it did in that period, from 2008 to 2011. But that being said, silver started out in 2008, say roughly $20 plus or minus a couple. It actually went down to $11.94 one day. That was a big buying opportunity for a lot of people, as well as myself. I bought pretty much every penny that I could in silver that day. I sold most of my silver at that time between $43 and $45. Probably averaged more like 42 because I sold a big chunk all at once to help open this store. You actually saw from 8 to 11, silver went down and then went back up again. I feel like we've been in another pattern for at least a year and a half, just like that all over again. I feel like silver has been floundering. It went way down during COVID, but even after that, when it seemed to level off again, it pulled way back, and now it's starting to trickle back up again. There are people that even speculate now we may see one more big pullback on silver to let the small governments and large manufacturers get their fill before they let it run openly again. But I sure think with J.P. Morgan holding the largest known hoard of silver ever in human existence, they're probably going to want to see it go to some new highs again.
Right.
So,
now you always hear that the big banks are all shorting silver. That's what I hear all over
yes.
YouTube.
That was the big rub with the Chase, J.P. Morgan, AIG, and Deutsche Bank. They were essentially being allowed to short it on one side in one division of their companies and purchase physical through COMEX and others in another division, manipulating the price on something that they're actively purchasing.
So as far as buyers versus sellers, coming over the counter, which direction?
Buyers versus sellers for me lately are kind of a mixed bag. A lot more sellers of silver lately than I expected, with the price still being what I feel like is a little bit suppressed. A lot of people selling gold lately, but a lot more, I would say, in my opinion, purchasing. I've seen for probably a year and a half, two now, a fear factor in people off the charts that I never saw in 2008 through 2011. People wiping out very large bank accounts, annuities, selling properties, things like this, not wanting to leave large amounts of cash in the bank at all, purchasing any kind of assets that they can get a hold of, mostly property, metals, things like that. But what I'm seeing on my end, obviously, large purchases of gold. We're setting new records in here every other day. Just new records on gold, every few weeks lately. You can see the tide is definitely turning, and people are panicked.
All right. Thanks for watching part 1. Part 2 coming tomorrow. Average Joe, out.